Welcome to the Ola Hawatma Show on American One. Tonight we continue our series, Voices of America. I have a special guest tonight, Detective Chance, speaking about something that's very dear to her, bringing awareness to others. Stay tuned. Next. I want to welcome a special guest tonight, Detective Chance, talking about human trafficking, something that we need to bring awareness to. Thank you for coming on.
You're welcome.
Well, I was looking at your website and I'm impressed and taken because I remember 5 years ago, I did a fashion show and there was a female there talking about human trafficking and bringing, and doing a fashion show to raise money. And I'm thinking, is it really that much of an issue? I mean, just because we don't see it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's a huge issue in America. And we just there isn't a lot of awareness, but you're bringing awareness to the topic. Please tell us about what you're doing.
So I am a retired detective, a sex trafficking detective. I spent 13 years as an undercover working the actual crime itself. So I have, experiences with sex buyers soliciting me thousands of times, working as an undercover over the years, and then traffickers trying to recruit and groom me. And so with those experiences, I'm trying to bring awareness to the reality and the truth of the problem. And so that's where we're at here as far as spreading awareness, especially this month, in honor of Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
How long have you been doing this?
So I started my own business when I retired. I retired in October of 2021, and then a couple months later, I started, generating the idea and creating my website and all those things, just so that I can have a platform or a reference for people to go to. So then that way I can continue to do what I was doing before with community awareness. And then I also hope to reach law enforcement so that I can train on how to do undercover operations targeting buyers and traffickers.
I think that's amazing. And it's just impressive with the illegals and the human trafficking. I haven't looked at numbers, but I mean, I just feel that numbers have grown. What are the numbers right now?
So there isn't really a way to put a number on how big the problem really is, because there isn't. There's a vast number of victims that haven't come forward yet, that are still out there, that are still being trafficked. So I really lean more towards not going and putting a number on it, because we really just don't know. And there's not a way to do that.
No. Do you feel that the issue has gotten worse with the illegals and the border?
There's definitely different types of trafficking, and that is an area of concern for sure. The area that I worked, I don't exactly have a whole lot of experience with the border specifically, because I was an inner city law enforcement officer. So my experience does come from, some illegals doing trafficking in the form of a brothel. In the general city area where I worked a couple of times, we've investigated that. And it's very important to have, undercover officers that speak Spanish fluently and that can infiltrate those areas of the problem as well.
What are some ways bringing awareness? I know it says it on your website, which I'll add a link, but tell those who are watching, what are some ways of awareness?
Oh, so definitely recognizing some of the indicators of trafficking. I have a course that I've built that kind of goes through all of those things. But specifically, being a good witness, your own personal situational awareness, paying attention to things going on around you. Not just that you might be, fall victim or be solicited or have something happen to you, but also being aware of what's going on with other people. I always use the example of a woman who asked me, about what she was observing at a coffee shop. And she was sitting in the coffee shop and she saw another woman on her computer. She could see her screen. It had provocatively dressed women, and she was on the phone with what sound like men, and she was arranging dates and, talking about money and certain sex acts and things that they don't do. And she didn't know what to do with that information. And so that's part of this awareness is, had she known, she could have called right away, and, officers could have come out and talked to that woman. But she did do really good with collecting information, though. She did get a picture of the woman. She copied on her license plate when she left. Last known direction of travel, those kind of things. And so being a good witness is definitely important, and knowing some of the indicators. So on my website, I actually have like a full printable list of some indicators that I feel are very important based on my experience. And then I also have some tips for parents and teens as far as, things to do some prevention so that parents can be more aware of what's going on and not allow for it to happen to their child, through, the means of being there, being involved in what they're doing online or involved with what they're doing on their phone.
I think it's amazing, and we need more women like you that are actually going to bring awareness to something that is taking over America, I feel, because I'm in the fashion industry, also in politics, but doing fashion shows, I hear it a lot with new female models. And, usually people just turn the other cheek or don't address it because they feel it's not a big deal, but it is a big deal. And it is affecting our kids, and it can happen to anyone.
Yes.
And so when I was looking at your website, I was like, wow, this is so wonderful. And I love the fact that it is printable. And can you imagine if more people are aware?
Yeah.
We
And
don't know
part
the
of,
numbers, but
yeah.
I'm sure that the numbers will be less. I mean, at a coffee shop, and I've seen videos too on Facebook, on social media. I mean, right in front of their eyes, it's happening. And
Yeah, and knowing how to report or what to do next or what information to collect for law enforcement so that they can act on, your observation and be available to speak to them, even if it's anonymously or, at a later time. Just providing the basics for them to act on it is very important. The other part of this awareness is, and I named my course The Power of Awareness because in the 13 years that I have been in law enforcement, specifically working this problem, I have noticed there's a change with the awareness of juries, with law enforcement, with prosecutors, with the judges. Because I've seen, back in 2008-ish, 2007, 2009, traffickers that certainly deserve to go away for hundreds of years only get like a 9-year plea. Fast forward to now, right before I retired, there was a trafficker that was put in prison for 108 years. So it's definitely, that's powerful. That's people knowing about the problem, juries understanding that, these victims aren't there voluntarily. Some of the myths that are out there are being debunked, and, all of those things working together is really making an impact on suspects going to prison for a long time, which is where they belong.
Exactly. Well, what you're doing is definitely making a difference. Again, 5 years ago, I didn't realize how big of an issue it is, and it is a big issue. And I thank you so much for coming on. I'm going to share your link. What's your site that people can go on?
Oh, yeah, it's achanceforawareness.com. Pun intended. My last name was Chance before I recently got married. So at chanceforawareness.com, and they can enter in their information to get those tip sheets and then the indicators list. And then if they want to sign up for the course, that's on there also. So thank you so much.
You are such a blessing. Like, you're such a blessing. Thank you so much for what you're doing. I'll be in Arizona at the end of the month. Yeah, we'll do a live cast out there. Again, thank you so much. I'm going to log on, whatever I can do. And to my viewers, please log on. Let's get involved. It is a big issue, bigger than we really think. God bless. Thank you so much.
Thank you.